Hello there, welcome back to the channel. Now, life, as we all know, is complicated. Everything in life is complicated and nothing ever fits neatly into a box. No two people are the same, no two dogs are the same, no 2 days are ever really the same. But all that considered, being humans, we like boxes. We like to try and fit things into nice, neat little packages. Doesn't always work, but we give it a good old college try sometimes, don't we? So this is a quick guide to how planets are classified in Star Trek by the United Federation of Planets, Starfleet. Now, of course, there are always going to be outliers, worlds that have temporal variances, planets that travel between dimensions, completely unknown configurations of planets that are either still forming, incomplete, or have some other extreme we haven't yet encountered. But in general, there are a few classes that, broadly speaking, they can generally fit planets into. Now, of course, there is variation even within each one of these classes, so each one is a spectrum. But let's begin, shall we? Let's start with the D. The Class D world is generally considered an uninhabitable rock. It'll have none to very little atmosphere. It's not considered habitable, but some have been considered terraformable. Can think regular. The whole thing with the Genesis device, they wanted to convert the planet to be capable of supporting life. That would be the Class D world. Next, we've got a Class G. Class G is more like a world, sort of like a world like Venus, kind of. It'll have an atmosphere, but it will be uninhabitable to human life. A race like Tholians might like it, maybe, but it's going to be uninhabitable to us, and it'll probably be highly volcanic. Class H worlds are generally considered unsuitable for human life, usually due to high levels of some form of radiation or another. Again, it's a spectrum, so there can be variations. We do know, however, the Shellyak hail from a Class H world. Humans can adjust to these worlds, as can some other humanoid species, but generally speaking, they're not considered conducive to human life. Classes J and T are both classifications for gas giants. However, again, this is a spectrum, and there are many different types of gas giants, so it's a big ball of gas in space contained within an atmosphere, effectively, for both of these classes. Class K worlds, again, are generally considered uninhabitable to humans, but some of them have been populated, but they do require artificial environments in order to survive. So personally, I don't see what the difference between that is and a Class D world. Effectively, you're building a starbase, because you've got to have a pressurized dome and a settlement that's separate from the actual environment. So it's not really habitable, but will likely have... It'll be temperate and the atmospheric pressure will be okay, but probably composition and other things won't be great. But they could, I suppose, be terraformed. A Class P world is actually very close to a Class M, which we will get to. Class P worlds will have a breathable atmosphere, generally. They'll be near Earth-like. So they'll be okay, but they'll generally be unpleasant. It might be a combination of vicious storms, particularly ionic atmospheres, or other such things that a human might find unpleasant to endure and build a society on. But, you know, in a pinch, you can live on them. Class Y is nicknamed a demon class world. These worlds are very uninhabitable to humans. Some races have been known to survive on them, certain forms of extremophile life forms. One was encountered in the Delta Quadrant by the USS Voyager, actually containing a mimic species that could copy anything that it touches and were able to duplicate Voyager and the entire crew. That's how effectively this life form could mimic anything that it touched. These worlds are characterized generally by having extremely toxic atmospheres, temperatures that may exceed 500 Kelvin, that's hot, not for my partner, but it's hot, as well as generally being very unpleasant and having a lot of radiation. So you avoid them at all costs. And then we come to the M class. The M class is the only one we incidentally know what the M stands for, at least we think it does. It stands for Menshara class, and this is actually a Vulcan word that refers to a planet like Earth or Vulcan that is habitable and suitable for human or Vulcan or other such standard humanoid life, which doesn't require some more extreme conditions to survive. Earth would be an M-class world, for example, just to make it clear. That's what an M-class generally is. A sort of honourable mention to R, N and O classes that have never been strictly defined. So they mean something. They could be a subcategory of one of the others, similar to, in my opinion, how a P and an M class are actually very similar. But they could be an extreme version, like a super Earth or something like that. But that is pure speculation. I don't think a super Earth would be considered M class, even though it would have the right environmental conditions. The gravity and atmospheric pressure would be such as to make it uninhabitable to humans. But that being said, that is the general classifications of all the different types of planets generally. Again, more will likely be added as Starfleet encounters yet more unusual worlds, because the galaxy is a big, diverse and beautiful place, and nothing is so easy to put into a box. It's easy to say, for example, that Mars and Mercury are pretty similar. Mars has such a thin atmosphere it practically might as well not have one. Mercury doesn't have an atmosphere. Both are barren rocks devoid of water or life. Titan, moon around Jupiter, has an atmosphere. You could say, well, it's very similar to Earth. It's got liquids on the surface and it's got a thick atmosphere, except it has clouds, it has rain, but it's, ridiculously cold, and that's not water that's flowing around on the surface. It's liquid methane, and the rocks, some of them are actually just water ice that's so cold it never liquefies. The same as effectively rock on Earth is never liquid like it would likely often be on Venus, because Venus is so bloody hot. That is the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share and subscribe. There's plenty more Star Trek content on here. I hope you're having a fantastic day and continue to do so. With that said, we're at the end. Bye bye.